Hello everyone, Turtleags here, bringing you another AFK Journey video. Today I will be talking about Reinier, explaining his kit, presenting the ideal team, or one of several ideal teams that I can recommend for Reinier to optimize his abilities, and then finally we will do a couple team showcases. Now Reinier is one of the 4 special units that you can pull from stargazing. And stargazing, if I was to go out, you basically go to the mystical house, you go to the noble tavern, and after you do 40 pulls, you'll be able to unlock stargazing station on the very right. Yeah, Jodson, you're on YouTube, yay. So with the Stargaze station, when you click on it, basically you see this mirror on the left, you click on that, and there's 4 different units that you can select. You probably notice these special icons that are very different from the Wilder or the Graveborn. These are, if I highlight here, Celestial. There's 2 Celestial units and there's 2 Hypogen units. What's the difference? You can kind of think of them as light and dark, but with just a reframed kind of name. And then these 2 classes count towards the faction bonus regardless of who they're paired with, whether it be Wildborn, Graveborn, and the other 2. So for this reason, these characters are very easy to slot into teams. I think the challenge really is just optimizing their kit, because they bring a lot to the table, and initially it can be very overwhelming, the possibilities that can occur, especially with Reinier, because he is definitely the X factor that can, there's so many things you can do with him. And as for the stargazing summons, to summon them, you probably noticed that here in the recruitment store, on the very right here, you can purchase 3 stargazing orbs from here. And then there's other ways to get orbs as well. I can't think of what they are on the top of my head, but they are pretty rare to get. And so whenever you get your hands on one, you definitely want to think carefully and perhaps do a little research beforehand regarding which one of those celestial or hypogen characters are right for you. So in my case, the reason why I chose Reinier was, well, 2 things. One was because he had the coolest character design of the 4. He kind of reminded me of that demigod from Final Fantasy VIII, the one that casts Demi and is one of the first summons that you can acquire in that game. For that reason, I do have an affinity towards Reinier. He's such a cool unit. But I think when I pulled him and started playing him, I liked him even more because he just does so much, and he's one of the few units that can actually break enemy formations, which can totally disrupt the enemy plan. Like, he has the ability to swap the position of one of your characters with one of their characters, and then you can say you see a mage in the back row that you want to take out, you can basically swap your character with them, and then you take down that mage that is now behind or around your characters. So very cool. Now let's go ahead and go over his kit. First, let's go with his ultimate. So if non-summoned allies outnumber non-summoned enemies, Reinier selects an enemy, deals 230% damage, and teleports to another dimension with the target for 10 seconds. So literally both of them will disappear off the map for 10 seconds. Otherwise, if say you're outnumbered, then only the target will be sent to the other dimension. So he's kind of like the equalizer, and that's kind of his style. That's kind of the concept of his character design. He's all about balance, but if there is balance, he still offers a significant advantage to your team. Yeah, so he's definitely great if you're under a lot of pressure and need to blink away. The blinking is kind of random, but sometimes you get lucky, like he'll blink away a healer and then all of a sudden you're just able to stabilize. It's really cool. And if the target is under steadfast or unaffected, meaning they can't be CC'd, they can't be crowd controlled, or if the target is the only non-summoned enemy alive, instead of blinking the enemy, what he's going to do is he's going to do a lot of damage. 50% damage instead of entering another dimension. This skill prioritizes the healthiest non-summoned enemy. So that's a mouthful for the ultimate, and this is probably what makes Reinier the most unique unit in the game, in my opinion. Now, dynamic balance is really interesting. So when the battle starts, Reinier switches an adjacent ally's position with an enemy if they're in a symmetrical position. So if you kind of think of the map as like, a piece of paper, like, how you do the snowflake when you were kids, when you drew a snowflake, you would like basically stencil out. You fold the piece of paper, you stencil out a design on one half of the paper, and then you cut, and then you open it, symmetrical, right? So that's the way you can think of it. So if, player A is in the back here, and they're opposite of the mirror position on this side where the enemy is, the enemy and your ally, assuming Reinier is right next to your ally, they will teleport both of them, swap their positions in the beginning of the fight. When we actually showcase this, you'll know exactly what I mean. Whenever the enemy takes damage, the ally restores HP equal to 45% of the enemy's taken damage till a battle ends. The total HP recovery amount by this means is no more than 1,000% in a consecutive 8 seconds. So, this is what's so interesting, because typically you don't want to send a solo character off to the opposite position. Because how in the world are you going to heal that unit, right? Well, the way you heal the unit is by attacking the enemy that was transported to your side of the field. And that will happen. Like, typically what will happen is Reinier will teleport. You usually teleport the character in the back row because you want to keep your tank in the front, to protect the rest of your units. So you usually teleport your back row unit with a back row of their unit. And whenever you attack their unit that got sent to you, to your side of the field, your ally that was sent to the opposite side is gaining HP as this enemy's losing HP. So that's how you heal. You basically attack the enemy that's on your side. Okay, now go to golden ratio. Reinier launches a mighty strike against the healthiest enemy. And you'll see this a lot, the healthiest enemy, because flavor-wise, he's all about maintaining balance. So he launches a mighty strike against the healthiest enemy through the portal, interrupting them and dealing 45% damage 8 times. Afterwards, Reinier punches and knocks them into the air, dealing 120% damage. If the enemy's HP ratio is above 61.8%, then each hit attaches an extra damage equal to 1% of their current HP, up to 20% of attack. So, this actually makes me think even more of the demigod from Final Fantasy VIII, because he typically does more damage from the start when their HP is high, and as their HP becomes lower and lower, then the percent, it's kind of percentage based, essentially, his damage. And so he basically does a lot of damage from the start, and then later on towards the end, his mechanics kick in where he casts his ultimate, blinks away a target, and it's so interesting playing with Reinier. Oh yeah, and punching them into the air and knocking them down. He interrupts the enemy too, so that's really neat. He interrupts the enemy, blinks them out of existence for 10 seconds, and swaps. You can disrupt their formation on the field. Hero focus. Reinier's dynamic balance increases the target's attack by 7%, when cast on an ally, or reduces the target attack by 7% when cast on an enemy. This hero focus you want to level up to 3 as soon as possible, and that should be pretty easy. I think you only need 30 of those blue oval thingies. Because when you get his hero focus to level 3, all of a sudden, when you do the position swap, your ally that got sent to their side of the field gets a 12% attack bonus, and the one that was sent to your side of the field gets 12% less attack. Yeah. So for this reason, you want to bring that up to level 3 as soon as possible. Now, once you unlock the Mythic Plus, which, by the way, for Hypogean and Celestial characters, it's going to take extra orbs. Typically, to get to Mythic Plus, you need 6 copies of an S tier character. That's what we're used to. And then you supplement in between with acorns. However, with Reinier and any Hypogean or Celestial character, you need, instead of the acorns, you need to summon more orbs of them. So what ends up happening is you need to pull, let me pull up my chart here, just to make sure I provide accurate information. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You need to pull 8 Reiniers to get him to Mythic Plus, and you need to pull 6 more Reiniers after that in order to get him to Supreme Plus. So in total, you're going to need to pull it's a lot of Reiniers. So for this reason, this is not something that you can get really quickly unless you're intentionally buying the Stargazer packs, which is what I did because, I wanted to have a maxed out Hypogean character, but also when you pull on the Stargazing, you do get those blue and orange oval thingies that you use to level up your skills and whatnot. Anyways, and then so for this Mythic Plus ability, Tuned Art, Reinier deals 200% damage to the enemy and knocks them down when casting Dynamic Balance, increasing their damage taken by 25% till the battle ends. So this is really significant. Mythic Plus turns Reinier into a permanent 25% damage increase for the damage they take. That's why Reinier is so good, and just by him, so long as you do a dynamic balance and send someone somewhere, whether they are resistant or not, whatever, at least you did the symmetrical teleportation. So typically when you play Reinier, you really want to swap one of your party members with one of the opponent's party members to really maximize his kit. When do you unlock the confining spell in the main story? I think it's somewhere in the Dark Forest. Or Vedusa. Okay, thank you, Narkasu. Yeah. And then finally, if you get him to Supreme Plus, you unlock Enhanced Force. Reinier increases the allied hero's attack by 4% till the battle ends if they're in a symmetrical position with an enemy hero. So what does this mean? Increase the ally if they're in a symmetrical with the enemy hero. Yeah, so this basically, whichever ally you sent over to the opposite side of the field, they are going to get a 4% attack bonus. Actually, this one I'm kind of not fully I don't fully understand what this means. Till the battle if they're in symmetrical with them. Oh, okay. I don't know if it applies just to the symmetrical swap or if it applies to anywhere on the battlefield. This I'm not really sure. We may have to test it out. Okay, so now that we've gone over his kit, then we can go ahead and do a team showcase. Oh, congratulations, Jim. That's awesome. All right, so the team that I want to showcase is actually this team that we're going to use against the Dream Realm today, Dream Realm boss today. So this is going to be Reinier, Reinier, Odie, Smokey, Coco, and Thorin. So the way this team works is that the enemy that we're about to fight, the Neko Dragon, is a boss that likes to sap away your energy. So it is discouraged to bring any units that heavily rely on their ultimate in order to contribute heavily to the outcome of the match. And so for this reason, having someone like Reinier, who a lot of his kit is already built in from the start of the battle, and then you've got Odie, who most of his damage comes from his normal attacks. Smokey doing being able to heal and that sort of thing without the ultimate, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, he has other ways to heal. And then Coco, well, Coco relies on her ultimate a little bit more, so that might be Monka. I might switch her out, actually. And then we got Thorin. Actually, you know what? What I'll do for now is I'll swap Coco out for Vala. Because Vala is another unit who doesn't necessarily need her ultimate. Let me see. Actually, you know what? Let's just stick with this for now. I'm curious as to how much that energy drain really affects our survivability. And then finally, Thorin, just doing what he does best, tanking. So let's go ahead and first go into the Neko Dragon Dream Realm. Now I'm doing this first, but don't worry, guys. I will also feature this same team or a variation of it for a 5v5 match. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. If you're curious about how to optimize your team against the Necro Dragon, I will be filming another guide that will be released for that. I just want to playtest a little bit to make sure I am presenting you with the optimal team. Okay, so let's go ahead. I think in the beginning for our first run, let's just see how much damage we can optimize. So I'm going to go ahead and do some swapping here. I'm going to do this. Smokey. And Smokey we're going to send over to the enemy side. So you notice a purple ring here and a red ring there. Now remember, when we do the symmetrical swap, this will decrease Necro Dragon's damage output, or attack by 12%, and increase our Smokey's attack. Oh, that's not Smokey, sorry. Hold on, let me swap. Where's Smokey? Here's Smokey. The reason why I'm sending Smokey over there is to help with the heals for Thorin, but also his smoke, when you have him Mythic Plus, is able to drain the enemy's HP. So that's going to be incredibly useful. And then finally we got Coco on the side just to provide a shield and heals for our party members. And this is pretty much the team I'm going to try out against the Necro Dragon. So let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, so the swap occurs. Smokey's now on that side, and that's pretty much the main way the only way actually that you would get Smokey up there. Okay, we're actually doing pretty well. Interestingly, we actually got our ultimate off. Okay, and that right there was my Reinier's ultimate, and we're doing very well. This is the Elite Challenge. Yep, excellent. I think we're pushing pretty hard here. We're actually about to hit a new record. Yeah, it looks like we'll clear with quite a bit of time, so we are doing great. Okay, so that's an example of how to use Reinier against a realm boss. And so Reinier has actually very good synergy versus, great synergy with Smokey versus a Dream Realm boss. of any kind. So now we will go ahead and, oh nice, Jin, I got champion. You should try to get it now in arena. I will. I'm gonna film a PvP video after this. Okay, so now we're going to go to an AFK stage and we'll showcase Reinier even more. Doesn't matter whether we win or lose, the most important thing is that you understand how his kit works. But hopefully we eke out some wins. So let's go ahead and pick a random stage. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. Gradually loses energy. Mages. So I generally like to teleport mages to the back or marksmen. So remember the symmetrical positioning, right? So let's go ahead and there's an interesting option that we could try. Oh, interesting. This is going to be a little tricky. This might not be the best stage for it, because sometimes there's walls that block the way. So let's actually do this. Okay, this will be easier to demonstrate. Hey Turtle, do you know how many copies of the Daily Gazette you can buy in advance before it caps out? I was told by somebody that a person bought 100 of them and still didn't cap it out. Yeah, because they wanted the 3,000 gem bonus, like every time you buy one. Yeah, apparently it's like the cheapest way to get gems. Yeah, so I'm kind of basing it off to that from that guy. So I don't know if I don't have a way to verify it besides buying a whole bunch on my own of my own. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and do the team comp here. Now we are pretty high up in the stages, so we are going to go with this defensive build. But you know what? I'm kind of thinking about bringing some spice. What I'm going to do actually is bring a more defensive healer, who would be my Haywin, and then we will, let's have some offensive pressure, and then we will, let's see. So we already have our 3 faction bonus because we have 2 Graveborn and 1 Hypogen. Remember, Hypogen counts towards any faction bonus. Yeah, so he kind of counts as a Graveborn, quote unquote. So now that we've fulfilled the bonus, we have a couple options here. I do want to take out that Cassidy, so what I'm going to do is try comboing him with Vala. This is something I do want to play test. Okay, there we go. So we're going to swap places. So this is going to be great because you're going to boost the attack of your Vala by 12%, and you're going to decrease the attack of that Cassidy by 12%. And remember, when you're attacking Cassidy, you'll be healing up your Vala. Yeah. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Now, Hypogen, or I'm sorry, Reinier is a bit on the squishier side, so I'm going to have him in the back. And I'm actually going to lock down the opponent with the confining spell. And this, I think, will help with keeping my Vala out of harm's way. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we teleported, Vala's in the back. Now I'm curious how this is going to go. Okay, yeah, she died though. Well, we are on a very high leveled stage, so that typically does not happen. Yeah, Vala got like 2-shotted. Okay, so yeah, we can try a different stage, and you don't always have to teleport. Let's see here. Can we symmetrical anyone? Oh, we can. We're symmetricaling with that one. Okay, so what we will do, we do want to symmetrical with the archer. Okay. So I do want to test if bringing Vala there is a good idea, because she can jump away, but she took a lot of damage that time. Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the enemies are too tough. I pushed too high in the AFK stages. Oh, and actually that rotating red circle was was Reinier blinking out an enemy off of the map, and he blinks them off of the map for 10 seconds. So uh, that's kind of a scuffed ending, but that's basically how Reinier works. Mm, I think Reinier is definitely very good for pushing a high score on the arena. I'm sorry, not the arena, the Dream Realm. But when it comes to actually using him very well in uh, a 5v5 match, including PvP, it's going to take a ton of practice. And I haven't played Rainier since he got to Mythic Plus, just because my characters got to Supreme Plus, and so he kind of fell off stat wise, and I couldn't keep him alive. So I kind of benched him, and now I'm kind of rusty with how to use him optimally. But that's essentially Rainier 101, so you understand his entire kit and you see from my gameplay how he works. That way you can decide whether or not you want to pull for a Rainier of your own. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.